nation that is taken by the sword will eventually fight back by the sword and regain its own independence.
Last night, 4 tornadoes took off this airbase just behind me. This is RAF Marham. Now I'm going to go down to the village and talk to the people about how they feel about these bombers setting off, loaded, and coming back empty. Holy Trinity Marham. Older readers of the time, such as myself, might remember a well-known evangelical vicar called the Reverend Tony Higton. He's now here, as assistant priest in his retirement. It's a beautiful church, and one corner of the well-tended graveyard is filled with the tombstones of the fallen from previous conflicts. In loving memory of Arthur, third and dearly loved son of Henry and Sarah Bartram, who fell asleep October the 28th, 1919, after serving in the RAF in France, aged 24 years. 'Tis sweet to know we shall meet again where parting is no more, and that the one we loved so dear has only gone before. Marham. And Tony, you have some experience of Middle East affairs, don't you?
Yes, I was rector of Christ Church, Jerusalem, amongst other things, for a number of years, really more at the height of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. So we certainly learned quite a bit there.
And are you hoping to raise awareness in the local community here about Middle Eastern issues?
Yes, ever since we left Israel. I feel that I'm obviously particularly concerned with Christian opinion, but I feel that people either polarise one way or the other. They're either very pro-Israeli or very pro-Palestinian. And I want to say there are needs and pain and fear on both sides, and people need to understand that.
And what's the feeling in the local community about the action which began last night with the leaving of tornadoes for Libya?
Well, there's a very good relationship between the village down here and RAF Marham up the road, and there'll be a lot of support for the military up there anyway. And I think most people would feel that it's the lesser of two evils. I can't imagine decent people wanting people to be killed. That's obviously against everything we stand for. But I think that it is the lesser of two evils to protect the people of Libya. That, I think, would be the general opinion.
And would they have felt the same about the Iraqi action, though, that we were protecting the people of Iraq?
I think that's more complicated because now we have a great deal of hindsight, don't we? And it did seem as if Iraq had weapons of mass destruction and so on, and this is all very well known. So I think that there will be a great support for the brave troops, as it were, as one would expect in a place like Marham. But I'm not so sure there would be such support for what actually happened in Iraq now. And particularly that the Western powers did not plan what they were going to do after the conflict, and also they didn't take religion seriously on a typical Western approach, and they should have done because it's fantastically important in a place like Iraq.
And what about Libya? How important is it in Libya in this conflict?
What, religion?
Yes.
Well, I don't think it's figured too much, really. I mean, anyone can make it into an anti-Muslim attack, which I don't believe it is for one moment, and I think the Western powers are at pains to make sure it isn't that, particularly America doesn't want to be seen to be attacking a third Muslim country. I think they're dealing with a leader who is thoroughly irresponsible. Personally, I think mentally unbalanced.
And the young pilots who fly out in their tornadoes are risking their lives, and is there any sense that people feel that we're at war almost?
Well, I suppose so in a lesser sense. I mean, I heard what probably were the tornadoes take off last night. Not that what we thought maybe they would be involved in the conflict. And I think that there'd be more. I think that the main local concern would be for the troops. I mean, we know people, and RAF Marham always tries to have a very good relationship with the village and succeeds in many ways. And so there would be a lot of concern for, our boys and I suppose our girls out there. Not sure there are any of our girls out there, but certainly our boys out there.
And when you heard them take off, what did you think? I mean, how did you feel? Because it's a very emotive sound, isn't it, of jets?
Yes. Well, I mean, most of the time I enjoy, hearing jets. I'm just a little boy, really, that enjoys the noise of jets. But I think last night it makes you think these people are going on a very dangerous mission, and they are young adults, and so your heart goes out to them, really. I think for them to be, but equally, your heart goes out to the people of Libya, who are in danger of being slaughtered. There is a danger, I think, of genocide, at least to some extent, and we cannot stand by and see that happening. And if anyone is killed, whoever they are, that isn't evil, of course it is. But you've got to live in the real world, and many ethical decisions are on the lesser of two evils. And so I'm not a pacifist in principle. I'd like to be, because obviously one hates conflict and war. But I think you have to say, as in this case, that it's a greater evil to allow Gaddafi to do what he'd clearly begun to do than to get involved. And of course there can be mistakes, there can be innocent people killed, even by our own side. And that is a very tragic thing. But it seems to me it's the lesser of two evils to try and stop the man.
And did you take a service here this morning?
Yes, I did.
And did you mention it in your prayers or your sermon?
Oh yes, we were praying for people up there, yes.
And what did you pray? What did you pray for them?
Prayed both for the people of Libya and for our troops, that God would protect them.
At Holy Trinity, the church warden is Tony Bullock, and his wife Joan is a talented artist and flower arranger.
Bombardments, in a war situation, you mean? Bombardments, strafing by aircraft, all that.
You lost your friends?
Yeah. I feel that we do need to have a deterrent. We really do need a deterrent, but it shouldn't be an offensive deterrent.
And do you think we should be attacking Libya in this way?
No. It's an affair to do with the Libyans, and they should sort themselves out. Well, history tells us that force of arms is always met by force of arms. If you subdue a nation by force of arms, eventually they will fight back and get back their own land. Funerals going through Wotton-Bassett, and the youngsters, 20-year-olds, and they're being killed, and I know that they're not, I think they're not going to achieve anything out in these countries. I really do think that.
And how does that make...
so sad, isn't it? So terribly sad. What a wasted life. Terribly wasted life.